Hello and welcome back to the Golden Gloves Chat Show. I'm Brian Mitchell. With me, Alan Toweel. Alan, very famous in the boxing world. Your dad was a famous trainer. The Toweels, wow, you can't get much bigger than that. Welcome to our Golden Gloves studio. Welcome your undefeated super heavyweight, Wilhelm Nebe. Wilhelm, welcome.
I appreciate
and
it.
fantastic win at Empress Palace on Saturday night.
Thank you very
Everybody's talking about you now. Everybody's like, who's this heavyweight, this big guy that can hit so hard and jumps on his guys and he's wild, and you got that nice style of yours. That show us what you do after a fight.
I just scream really loud.
How do you
Yeah.
scream? What do you say?
No, I just scream.
Give us the scream. Brilliant. Okay, let's talk boxing. So, Alan, this is your new heavyweight sensation.
Yes.
I must tell you, from a Golden Gloves and me as a super sport commentator and a Golden Gloves man, we like this guy. We think he's fantastic for boxing. He's massive to start with. He's as big as Bucky's Boyta, the rugby player.
Yes.
And he hits hard. And does he take a good shot?
Absolutely.
Takes a good shot
think
as well.
he takes a
I'm not
good
going to
shot.
ask you because you're going to say yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask your trainer.
He takes a good shot. He can punch. And the biggest thing, he's got a lot to learn still, and he knows it.
Yes.
So he's still raw.
And he's with a really good coach.
Thank you. So it's going to be a long process.
Yes.
And I'm sure he'll get there slowly but surely.
So, and then where did it all start? How did he join you? How did you hear about him?
What happened?
I know I've seen him in the amateurs a bit. You're an SA champion as well in the amateurs.
2018.
2018, he was SA
Yeah.
champion. But tell us where it started with yourself and Wilhelm.
I got a phone call from his mother. It must have been about 5 years ago. He was 19 years old. Yeah.
You're 24 years old now.
25,
yeah,
As of the
okay.
weigh-in.
Okay, well, was that your birthday today?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Well, happy birthday and
Thank
well
you.
done on the
Give
fight.
myself
Sorry,
a nice gift.
nice birthday present.
So then she asked me, can he join me? So I said, yes, sure. I said, has he had any amateur fights? She said, no. So I said, okay, bring him along. And then he came into the gym. I remember he weren't wearing shoes that day. He walked in there barefoot.
You walk in barefoot.
He walked in barefoot, this giant of a man.
Giant of man
Yes,
from Potchefstroom,
yeah.
eh?
So then he started off and I said, sure, he's got a lot to learn. So I would coach him like once a week. And then I said to him, you know what, maybe have a few amateur fights. Try and have a few amateur fights. And come back once a week, we'll coach you. And he started the amateur process, but there weren't any fights there to be offered to him, So to cut the long story short, he had five amateur fights. I always say he had 5 rounds in the amateur. That's all,
Just knocked him out.
Then he phoned me up and said, what must he do? He became the SA amateur heavyweight champion. I said, you know what, leave the amateurs. Don't waste your time there. Let's go full on into the pro ranks. But the strange thing is when he won, there was a video of him winning the SAs, and then people were laughing at him. They were making fun of him. He's a clumsy. He's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that. I saw
You saw
something in
potential.
him. And I said to him, you're still raw, and people make fun of you. It doesn't matter. One step at a time. And then I started to put him on our bills, and
Well, I'll
that's
tell you
that's
what,
where
they're
we
not
get.
making fun of him anymore.
No. So,
He's a force
yeah.
to be reckoned with.
but
man.
like I said, he's still got a lot to learn. He's got a long way to go.
Yes,
in
yes.
terms of his defense.
And you're the right man to do that.
Thank
So
you.
you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Well done. Wilhelm, where did it start for you? Were you a rugby player with your
Yes,
size?
I used to play rugby for high school. Of course, I had the dreams of playing for the Springboks. But then, as the years go on, so I played under 19 Cheetahs, then under 21.
You're from Bloemfontein originally?
No. I grew up in Potchefstroom. I went to
How did you
study.
grow up in Potchefstroom?
Yes, I went to study there.
Studying in Bloem.
In Bloemfontein.
Okay.
And then I played for the Cheetahs under 19, and then under 21. Was struggling a bit, but I was still learning a lot, even back then in rugby.
Okay.
And then, economics situations forced me to move back to Potch to my father.
Okay.
Stayed with him, played rugby for Potch, and then just after the first year, I felt like, okay, they're not. This isn't for me.
Were you hitting the oaks on the rugby field?
No, never, never.
Where
boxing
the love for
starts.
boxing?
My grandfather used to be a boxer, Toki Griffin.
Okay. Professional.
Amateur.
Amateurs,
They were-
okay.
But back then the amateurs were quite a large division, so it was a
Yes,
Sorry.
amateurs were strong in the old
Yes,
days.
so it was very much. I think my grandfather, I'm not sure if he made a living. I didn't know much because he died when I was very young. But the entire family on my mother's side was very into the boxing, and some of them were pros, some of them were more amateurs, just going through those ranks. And I wanted to box in school, starting at about 16. I remember it was the first time I actually said the words, "Mom, I want to box." I stayed with my mother after the divorce.
Okay.
But she never wanted me to box, because she grew up within that the environment, and she thought it's not the best. But then as the years went on, I started training. I started going more for boxing. Even back when I used to play rugby for the Cheetahs, I wanted to box, but could never find.
So you've had that love for boxing.
Yes, I wanted to box.
It was inside you. You needed to get it out.
Yeah. And then came Alan. I asked him after I decided.
So then you found Alan Toweel a few years ago and said you want to box.
Yes, and he said, okay, let's see what we can do. And then from there I went amateurs, and then he made a lot of effort to get me on a bill. Literally, I had amateur championships in July, and he went through a lot of effort, and he got me my first pro fight that November.
So how many amateur fights did you actually have?
5.
5. So you've had 5 amateur fights, 5 pro fights.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay, and you've won all of them.
Yes, all my amateurs were in the first round as well.
Fantastic. Well, we were saying off air just now that guys used to kind of even tease you because of your looks or you're wild and say maybe you were a plodder or whatever it was. But I mean, you certainly have. Alan's done special things with you.
Yes.
He's made your name to a real fighter.
A lot of attention.
And it shows you if you commit yourself to something. And he's committed now, isn't Alan? And so, what did you see in this fight?
In the last fight?
What did you see in him when he came to your gym? You said to me, I don't know if we can say it or not. I suppose it doesn't matter. You came to the gym barefoot originally.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like for you? Meeting this
big man,
this massive young guy, and he comes to the gym without shoes.
He was clumsy,
Yes.
And the first thing I started to do is work a bit on his footwork,
Yes.
Get his balance right first. That's the first thing, And to throw correctly, to refine the way he punches, the way he throws his punches, because he was wild. He wanted to kill the bag.
And he's still wild, but
yes, he's still wild.
But he's wild in a good way.
In a good way. I don't want to break that. I don't want to take
No,
it
you
away
mustn't take
from
it
him.
away.
No.
Yeah.
You see, I want him to have that
fire.
like a George Foreman approach, where you go in and he attacks.
And you go in and you hit.
And you hit. Yeah. But he just needs to put his punches together even better than what he's doing now. And like I say, it will take time, But when I first saw him, he was hitting that bag so hard. So we just calmed down and we started with working on the jab. And he hasn't even perfected the jab yet. But slowly I saw, just before he knocked out JP, a good short jab come in. The left hook that he caught JP was, his technique is improving.
Yes.
And for me, as long as they improve by 10% each fight or 20%, I'll be happy. Just a bit.
And the heavyweight division now in the world is actually booming.
It's
massive now again. Obviously, in the days of the 70s, you had Ali and Foreman and Norton and Liston and those guys.
Yes.
And then in the 80s, you had Mike Tyson and you had Lennox Lewis and you had Larry Holmes and you had these superstars. And obviously, today you've got all these. You've got Tyson Fury, you've got Anthony Joshua, you've got Wilder.
It's picked up. It's become more alive.
You've got up and coming guys.
You've got Usyk that's moved up.
And Dubois, the other guys, the up and coming.
So the heavyweight division is actually pumping again worldwide. So Alan, it's early days. 5 fights, 25 years old. He's like a wild man in the ring, which we love, and he looks the part in there. Where do you see you going as a trainer, him as a fighter? With Wilhelm Nebe.
I like to take one fight at a time, and I like to see improvement with each fight. And because he's so dedicated and committed to training, doesn't mess around, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, and he wants to train. You see, a lot of guys want to become champions, but they don't want to put the effort behind. And he's a good listener. So with all those things together, I think he can make it right to the top. But I just want to take it step by step, and I want to see that improvement in each and every fight. And I am seeing it as he goes along, you see.
Yes.
And I think in 3 years' time, he'll be a different beast to what he is now. More refined. His aggression will be there. His defense will have improved. So that's where I'm looking at.
And he started professional boxing at a relatively late age, but I mean, for heavyweights, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, a heavyweight division, you go till you're 40.
Heavyweights do mature later.
They mature later.
So,
I mean, a typical example is Ernie Shavers. He got knocked out in the early part of his career. He comes back and he almost knocks out. He lost to Ali. Then he comes back. He almost knocks out Larry Holmes. Okay, he lost to Holmes eventually, but he also a late bloomer, tremendous puncher, So, I mean, Mike Weaver the same. He was stopped 7 times in his career.
And became the world
heavyweight champion. And became heavyweight champion of the world by knocking out John Tate.
Yes. Knocked out Gerry Coetzee.
Knocked out Gerry Coetzee, yes. And he bloomed late also. So there's space. Let's see how the journey unfolds.
You said about starting late, but I started earlier than Rocky Marciano started. He started at 23.
That's what I want to talk to you about as well. You seem like quite a smart kid.
I enjoy the history of
You look
boxing.
like you understand boxing.
Oh, I
Do you
love
watch
it
a lot
so
of boxing?
Oh, yes, so much.
So
I
so
think
who's
I've-
your boxing heroes like over the
It's
years?
Foreman.
Oh, you
It's
like
gotta
George
be,
Foreman?
Got to be Foreman.
But nothing wrong with that.
But then again, Max Baer, Rocky
Oh, you're going
Marciano.
back now,
Max
you're
Baer
going
is
back.
very good as well.
So you watch all the old fights as
Oh,
well
I
for a young
love
man.
the
Eh?
old fights. I've watched.
So you got an
everyone.
old brain on a young
Yeah,
body.
Like I just can't seem to find any fights of John Tate, but Chase Willard. Okay,
John Tate was great. He beat Gerrie Coetzee.
No. I'm in John Henry, man. So I'm
Oh, you're
talking about the
going back.
1900s,
Okay,
yeah, like
okay.
way back when. And then before cameras were even invented.
Okay.
And some of the first things that ever filmed was boxing, right? That's how popular boxing used to
Boxing has been around forever.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah,
It went underground, so
Yeah.
you can never stop boxing.
be. It's
Boxing is a sport that they tried to actually cancel boxing
Yes.
over the years and that, but
it's-
you can't
Yeah,
because it's a great
sweet
sport.
science.
Sweet
People love
science.
it. So yeah,
Sport
it's,
of kings.
yeah.
Okay, where do you want to see yourself going
Well,
in the
the
next
best in the-
couple of years for Wilhelm Nebe?
The next couple of years, like Alan said, just the next fights, just improving. Like every fight, I'll tell myself. Like every day I walk into the gym as well. I'll tell myself, okay, I want to specifically focus. Of course, yes, I'm training for something, but I specifically think of one thing. Like today, I'll specifically try to keep my hand up for guards. The next day, but of course, focusing on everything else. So same with the fights. I just tell myself, okay, just this thing. If just this thing is right, that's fine. Because then I know if I can do it in a fight, it's there. It's not gonna leave. So the next time I focus on something else. Now there's two things that I can't lose because I have it. So I've already done it. It's so ingrained in you. And I think it's important because you can't focus on too many things at once.
No.
Too many irons
And
in
you
the fire.
listen to this man, Alan Toweel. He's
Yes.
been around, and yeah, dedication, discipline, and determination. Those 3 Ds will make you become a big champion, a world champion one day. Alan Toweel, thank you for coming
Thank
to the
you,
studio.
Brian. Appreciate it.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
Wilhelm Nebe. I'm loving
Thank
doing
you
the
so
commentary on your fights.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hopefully you're going to be our next heavyweight superstar in this country. That's really something we need.
That's a lot of
But, yeah.
responsibility, but thank you very
Yeah,
much.
this responsibility, but it's going to be good responsibility.
Our responsibility is
You
the
must
mark of
stay
a man.
dedicated, and we want to see you as the champion one day. So thank you, Wilhelm Nebe. Thank you, Alan Toweel,
Thank you,
for
Brian.
joining us in the Golden Glove studio.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.